Once again, the master storyteller is at his best in this week's Gospel as we encounter yet another crossover story. A Pharisee and a tax collector go to the temple to pray. But it's not the prayer of the church leader which is efficacious, but that of the villainous tax collector, because the man who humbles himself before God will be exalted. Now, how difficult is it to decide which character we're supposed to identify with in the many parables? It can be very confusing to know whether we are the priests, the Levites, Samaritans, sheep or goats, or, as in today's Gospel, the Pharisee or the tax collector. All seem to have the qualities and flaws that have us nodding our heads in acknowledgement. That's me. I know Jesus means me when he refers to his characters being proud or arrogant, compassionate or merciful. Our views of the Pharisees are perhaps unfairly conditioned by the later prejudice expressed about them in the Gospels for refusing to accept Jesus as the Messiah. However, when Jesus was growing up, this relatively new religious group was much admired. In their teachings, they used the word Father in reference to God. They insisted that the sacred was accessible through acts of love and mercy. And they believed in the resurrection of the dead. They shifted the emphasis away from worship in the temple to the local community, and in particular to the home. They were acknowledged as men of prayer. Now, the stereotype chosen for the lowest end of the social and religious scale in the parable is the despised friend of the Roman occupiers, the tax collector. Now, he and his kind would have had reason to believe that they were not welcome in the temple or entitled to enjoy God's friendship. From his remote corner, he cries out for reconciliation with God. Here's a man almost without hope and still longing for God's friendship. That his prayer is answered presents a powerful gospel message that God is present in the midst of apparent disaster, and that we never have to wait until we are worthy enough to turn to God for help. We're meant to be conflicted when we hear these stories so that we can face our own hypocrisy without having to declare ourselves publicly. Now, I'm sure Jesus was not trying to be difficult or obtuse. He wasn't wanting the listener to think always badly of Pharisees and only well of tax collectors, but he wanted to highlight the dichotomy in all of us, to see the balance and the conflict in how each of us should accept the struggle in allowing the good virtues to overcome the fragile ones, and to own the controlling negative aspects of our human nature. But above all, to know that we all have a choice in how to respond to this inner battle.